Ricky Jones here, and this is a little square business. You know what I'm saying? Um, gonna bring y'all something a little different, but no different. This is still the news. Shout out to the team and everybody out there. Hope everybody's having a great one going into the weekend. We're gonna start off this first episode of Square Business talking a little bit about something I just recently got into, based off a lot of study, a lot of research, a lot of time spent, not really analyzing, but just studying this thing from a perspective that I don't think a lot of these market analysts are looking at it. This is basically the newest, I would say, stock that's out there, the newest form of revenue streaming that can allow a lot of these companies to continue uh, being the freaking economic juggernauts that they continue to be going forward today into the future. So basically, what I'm gonna look at is a stock. Just as far as clarity purposes, I am invested in three different companies. These are all companies that consider themselves consumer and pharmaceutical companies, but they happen to engage in cannabis as their main profit and priority. So one of the companies that I'm invested in. I want to take a brief look at it, and I want to compare the news to the reality and the possibilities of this company. Not just as a stock option and a future investment, but something to just look into as the future of the economies and how things are changing and shaping our futures and societies going forward. So, the company is Aurora Cannabis. This article today in Yahoo Finance, September 20th, 2019, claims that Aurora Cannabis is the new bear. If you don't know, when it comes to markets, they have bear markets and bull markets. Bear markets are what they say sellers markets. The bear has its paws going down, stocks that are going down. They have the bull market, the horn, stocks that are going up. They're saying that this is a bear. And we need to look at what they're saying about this stock, the words they choose to use, and how they're choosing to analyze this stock. They're analyzing this stock as any commodity, looking at the profit, how much they're making, what the supply is versus the demand, and what those profit margins are going to be going forward. So we're going to start here with Aurora. Going to be brief. I got quite a few articles I want to go through. I'm going to sift through this information quickly. Take about maybe 10 minutes of your time. So bear with me and be blessed with the information. You're welcome. Aurora Cannabis. This is the new bear. With a $5.25 billion market cap, Aurora Cannabis, ACB, is the second most highly valued cannabis stock on the market. Canopy Growth is the number one. Now, Canopy is number one right now because they've just got an initial investment from Constellation Brands on the market. It's STZ. Constellation Brands is a company that owns and distributes Corona beer as well as other things. But they've just put a lot of money into Canopy. Canopy's number one right now. ACB is number two. The key thing about ACB is they're still ran internally. They have no major corporate investors or backers yet, and they are investing into their company for a platform coming forward, which we're going to get into. But on Thursday, MKM Partners analyst Bill Kirk initiated coverage on Aurora stock and told investors to sell it. What provoked this analyst to make this move? Well, Yahoo Finance believes profitability for cultivators, now the people who grow, trim, distribute, and also produce other subsidiaries of the cannabis plant. These cultivators, such as Aurora, will generally get worse before getting better. Pricing is already decreasing and supply availability will continue to grow slash improve. And as any Economy 101 student can tell you, basically this is this guy saying this is simple shit. As any simple economy person will sell you, given constant demand, any increase in supply tends to push prices and profits down. Supporting the theory, Kirk observes that already most new markets have shown decreasing profitability for cultivation. In Colorado, for instance, one of the first states to legalize in the U.S., wholesale marijuana flower prices are said to have dropped by half in the first few years of legalization, from 2,000 a pound in 16 to 1,000 a pound more recently. Now, the key to that is he's judging this based off the price of wholesale packaged marijuana being shipped out. He's not including pre-rolls. He's not including concentrate, shatter, um, oils, clear, vape, RSO, edibles. He's not including none of these things that come off of that plant. But we're going to get to that in a minute because that's the key to the future when it comes to how marijuana will be influxed into the economy. Kirk notes that consensus expectations call for Aurora to swing from negative Canadian 157 million in profit in 2019 to a positive 251 million in 2021. That's a 300 million-dollar swing they saying in profit. It's gonna actually 400 because you got to go from 157 negative up the 157, then another 240. So they're saying that this company, the guy who's telling everybody to sell this stock, Kirk, notes that the expectations call for Aurora to swing from this negative to the positive 400 million in Canadian dollars within 12 months. The analyst predicts profitability will be much longer in coming. He projected negative earnings before interest and taxes of 314 million this year, for example, followed by a negative 265 and a negative 199. No operating profit whatsoever before 2024 at the earliest. And he says the story gets worse because the stock has fell nearly 45% over the last 12 months. Now, let's get into that portion of the story. The stock price itself. Aurora currently is selling at $5 a share. When this line right here was created, this was the day Aurora actually hit the market. As I stated, it's a new stream of revenue for these companies. When it hit the market, it was introduced, and within a month, October to November of 18, it was introduced at about $8.50 and had a swing up to $12.50. From that point, you've seen a drop, slight rise back up to $10 around April, drop. We're at $5 again. We've leveled out the playing field. Now, as an investor in ACB, I know that they have their cap shares set at $5.65. So even though it's selling at $5 right now, the company itself still anticipates the earnings because of their recent quarterly revenue being presented to the public. Speaking on that, this is just a little information on Aurora. I'll get back to that. Let me find the right one real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I got these tabs everywhere. But since they dropped those quarterly earnings yesterday, September 19th, Wall Street Magic states that there isn't a silver lining for Aurora. And let's see why. The past 6 months have gone from bad to worse for Canadian cannabis producer Aurora Cannabis, New York Stock Exchange, ACB, in the first few short months. Aurora Cannabis stock has shared nearly 70% of its value as both the industry and the firm itself face severe headwinds, despite being a popular pick among millennial investors. And they wrote a stock article about that. It's hilarious. Despite being a popular pick among millennial investors who understand the industry more, who understand the transition from the streets, it's no different than the bootlegging era. You know, if I gotta die for my little $5 stock to turn into Anheuser-Busch and be what it's gotta be, that's the move. But it's no different than bootleggers saying, hey, we'll make this thing legal and they're gonna push it, people are gonna shit on it. Popular pick among millennials this summer, ACB stock has been on a downward trajectory. Even worse, it looks unlikely to reverse anytime soon. A big part of the reason why the stock price has floundered is due to negative analyst commentary. And I'm not going to read the rest of this article, which says the future looks bleak and all of this, because once he made the statement that a big part of the reason why the stock has floundered is due to negative analyst commentary, the majority of that negative analyst commentary is due to the fact they don't understand the industry. Let's tell you what's about to happen in the industry. August 7, 2019. Edibles and concentrates in Canada. Everything you need to know. Now, as an American, we've always known that Canada's laws on marijuana were way different than ours prior to this sweep of legalization amongst a lot of the states currently and in the future. didn't know was that it was only the flower. Concentrates and edibles like we have in the United States, vape pens, cookies, brownies, candies, even infused products like lotions, teas, hemp, CBC, herbal products that you could buy at Walgreens and Walmart. That stuff's not on the shelves in Canada at all. So, everything you need to know, August 7th. When Canada legalized adult use cannabis on October 17, 2018, some consumer favorites, namely edibles and concentrates, were omitted from participating. Instead, they were placed on a 1 year hiatus as lawmakers further examine these items. Let's always look at the key when it comes to this marijuana legalization and when they're considering profits versus negative gains. We always got to consider lawmakers further examining these items and their potential impact if legalized. The red tape will always be a holdup. So always know every portion of the mechanism when it comes to these push outs and what goes into somebody saying that a stock is going to die off and do this and do that when they're telling you it's just commentary and not the business. Many proponents of edibles and concentrates push back, whatever, it's going down. So when do they start in Canada? The sales of edibles and concentrates in Canada will commence in October 19, but in actuality, it's going to be December 17th, 2019. That's going to be the day that officially everybody's down for it. So it's coming down. So everything that we know in regards to what an edible is going to be available to a whole new country now that's right across our border. September 19, 2019, financial news media via context. Consumer interest in cannabis CBD infused products at an all-time high, Palm Beach, Florida. Consumer demand is a powerful force. It can make or break a product or even an industry. But in the increasing consumer appetite for cannabis, CBD infused products are showing that it can even stabilize the market, even in the midst of a temporary downturn in the industry. Now, we have to explain CBD infused products isn't necessarily something that's going to get you high. CBD infused products are hair care products, lotions, sugars. I live in an area where there are these booths everywhere where you can buy coffee. And for about $3 to $5, you can buy a little pack of sugar that's CBD infused. Teas, medicines, all these different things that, when spliced and segmented through the market, become billions of dollars collectively. The Green Fund recently stated that although the cannabis industry is currently in the midst of a temporary downturn, public interest in the market has never been greater. They say that the entry of high-level celebrities has raised consumer demand. Then they talk Snoop Dogg, Martha Stewart, Mike Tyson, but forget all the celebrity stuff. Let's look at the facts. Active cannabis companies in the markets this week include Medicine Man Technologies, Aurora Cannabis, Curaleaf Holdings, Organogram, but I can tell you that Hexo, Harvest Growth, Namaste. Um, you can even look at the Cannabis Trust. The Cannabis Trust is down to about $1.20 something or less, maybe, when it was around $10 about 12 months ago because they had an issue where they were doing illegal growing. They were growing in a place that was not permitted by Canadian law. That's their one misstep, it seemed like. If they can overcome that, they'll become right back where they were, which was around third or fourth when it came to producing cannabis in this country of Canada. The Green Fund article continued, a huge shift is coming, which some pundits have begun referring to as legalization 2.0 or cannabis 2.0, that will see a new wave of cannabis edibles, extracts, and concentrates hit the market. Now we're speaking on Canada only, but there are other countries, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, all these places where these companies have holdings, Germany, France. One sector of the industry that's beginning to take center stage is the edibles market, which encompasses CBD infused foods and beverages, with revenue projected to grow to 4.1 billion by 2022. That's strictly the infused foods portion. Strictly infused foods. That's not counting the THC edibles that they'll sell in the dispensaries or however else they do it in Canada, the stuff that can get you a little lit. This is just strictly the stuff that has the health benefits, the soothing, calming benefits going forward. Medicine Man Technologies Inc. announced this week a culmination of its roll up strategy. Today, they will solidify the company as one of the largest vertically integrated cannabis operators in North America. Upon closing of these pending acquisitions, And as a deeply experienced retailer and manufacturer of cannabis and fruit products, the concentrates driven by a leadership team that has unprecedented experience in regulated cannabis markets. As previously disclosed, the company, which also includes a new executive team with decades of experience in mergers and acquisitions, blah, 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 has entered into binding term sheets to acquire some of the best selling cannabis brands in the legal Colorado cannabis industry, a combination of pending transactions that spans 12 farms or cultivation facilities, including Los Sueños Farms LLC, one of North America's largest sustainable farms. So they're telling you that, well, the profits don't prove that we need to buy into this company. It's not $1,800 like Amazon. It's not um, a Microsoft. It's not that stuff yet. These stocks were introduced 12 months ago, less than 12 months ago, October 18. Now, when it comes to the money, because that's all they want to talk about is the financials. Let's look at it on just a basic estimated percentage basis over maybe 24 months. Using the US as an example, if all of Canada's sales so far from today all the way back to whenever they start selling it, let's just say October 18 was X amount of dollars. Let's look at the percentages of what now this edibles and infused and CBD introduction into the retail market can do. So in the US, they state that out of the, wait a minute, before I get to this, I got to get to the number so this can all make sense. And the number wasn't on this page. So let me get back to where we at, by the way. And I hope y'all having a good one, man. It's the weekend, it's going down. So here we go. Looking at this map or this chart, and here, let me help y'all out a little bit. Maybe we can do this. Looking at this chart gives a little rundown of cannabis sales in the US in 2018. So if we know that this state and some other states, this state, this state, this state, this state, there's some other this state, there's some other states that have now opened the doors to legalization of cannabis, but we're mainly concentrated on the West Coast. And if we look at it just by sheer numbers, we got a billion here, half a billion here, 3 billion here, about 100,000 in Nevada, where I think it was just rolling out in 18. Now they're fully integrated. And then we got, you know, 1.1 billion there, and then another close to half a billion there. So we're dealing with about $4.5 billion total revenue with one, two, three, four, five, just 6 states really opened up. Then you got Massachusetts over here with 100 million. DC got 17 million. Illinois getting up there. They'll be in the $100 million realm soon. But when it comes to the majority of the money, it's over on the West Coast. When all these other states really roll out and it gets implemented and people can not be scrutinized and not have that stigma and that cloud on them, and they can go enjoy themselves as a grown adult, do their day-to-day thing, not be an alcoholic, not be all these other things that people are allowed to be, just be their green self, the influx of the dollars and the human demand will come. But we're just dealing with $4 billion here. So if we just use that number, 43% of the sales, close to half, about $2 billion of the 4.5 was flowers, smokers. Now, when we talking about flower, the dried flower, not the wholesale version, what I noticed is they don't include pre-rolls in that number. And I had to ask a lot of people, distributors, bud tenders, store owners, all these people that I'm just conversating with about the industry. I had to ask them when it comes to sales, how are certain items divvied out? How is it differentiated? Flour versus concentrate versus the shatter versus that soda over there versus the lotion over there versus the chapstick over there. What is the difference? And he's like, they do flour, they do concentrates and edibles, and then they do other. Everything that's not either flour, concentrate edibles, or vape pens is now under concentrate edibles. It's called others. So if you look at this breakdown from this particular site, they do 43% of that, about 2 billion is flour, supposedly. 23% of that is vaporizer pens. Then 13 of that is edibles and beverages. And then you got your concentrates. But if you notice, concentrates and what's in a vape pen is the same thing. It's the same oil. It's just a dispenser easily used to smoke the concentrate. So these two should really be the same thing. This number should be 31%. Because if you look at this number as 31%, that's what's about to open up in Cannabis 2.0 in Canada. Boy, I got these articles all. Oh, do I even got the Cannabis 2.0 one open no more? I don't even know, Joe. Here it is. So look, if you look again, it says that edibles and concentrates were not listed in the sales of Canada. So that means they could not have concentrates. Concentrates is the vape pens, is all of this stuff. They had just the flower. So if they getting 2 billion in flower, all of a sudden they're about to get another 2 billion on top of that in a year. If they're spending like we do. Matter of fact, and I had a hard time finding it, but let's see. You gotta excuse me. I be wanting to have this stuff all prepared and laid out and everything. And I'll get better, man. It's square business. So let's see. I, I don't know if this is gonna give me what I need. This ain't what I wanted to see. These are the, if you notice, these are all publicly traded cannabis companies. All of these, all of these, all of these. But so let's see. M. Jardin, is that one company? So this is one company back in May. They said last year they made 27.5 billion, a 38% increase year to year for them. What companies you know have 40% profit increases in a year to year? But they're telling us that this is the new bear. The market is falling. Even when you look at this chart, it's disgusting. But what I'm saying is, $5 a while? Why not? Why not? Who's ordering music? Oh, the saxophone reads. Yeah, man. Shout out to my daughter Lyric. She's playing the Kenny G, the sax, you know. I hope this gives you a little insight on the economics behind the industry of cannabis and not just the flower. Uh, there's millions, possibly up to billions of dollars of research in epilepsy, Crohn's disease, kidney disease. It's another stomach condition, not Crohn's, but it's another one. I can't remember the name, but it's multiple medical illnesses that people are verifiably showing the world that they're being able to treat with cannabinoids. So, dead the stigma. Don't believe the hype. If they can sell us the same phone year after year, then let's get into something legitimate. There are farmers out here. There are people who have that green thumb. This is not an easy venture. It's not easy to just, it's not just dropping seeds in the ground and pulling it out and putting it on a truck and giving it to people. There's a process behind everything. And the people who do this are magical at what they do, whether it be people who form and create the concentrates, distillers out here, cultivators, harvesters, whatever it is, people behind this industry, it's a multitude of layers, and it's not a ladder. It's integrated in a horizontal manner to where everybody who's in this industry seems to care about where it's going because the product that it produces, um, it ain't never hurt nobody. So that's what it is, man. Ricky Jones, Square Business. This is the news, and I'm gonna go put some socks on. Bullet.